Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Every Paw Print, Every Story. I am your host, Dan Popovic. And for you new listeners to this podcast, a little bit about this podcast, or obviously you're wondering, what is this podcast about? Simple. It's about our pets, our dogs, our cats. We invite families and friends in to just come in and sit, have a fun conversation. You might laugh. We talk about the fun stories, the goofy routines that our fur kids have. You may cry. We do talk occasionally about pet loss. It happens. Um, you may get inspired. I think today you'll get inspired. We've had a lot of fun shows in the past or interviews in the past where folks have started up various types of businesses as a result of their fur kids. But hopefully, most importantly, you feel supported in your journey and wherever you're at with your fur kids. So enough about me, not so much about me, but enough about talking about this. I want to jump right in today. I'm excited to welcome Dave from Hiram, Georgia, or Dallas, Georgia.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, Dave.
Well, happy to be here.
Happy to have you here too. And just for the listeners, this one's kind of fun, and this is how it works, I think, right? So we had, a couple episodes ago, we had Melissa,
Mhm.
interviewed her in Dursky, husband dynamic duo. They're in Ackworth. They have a golden retrievers meetup group, and it was just a fun story. So listeners, go back and listen to that. She wants to create this golden Colorado concept, which I think is fascinating. And Dave, I don't know if you want to talk or if you know more about
Mhm.
that, but it was fascinating to learn that once a year they have a bunch of golden retrievers that meet from everywhere, and she wants to do the same thing here.
Yeah,
Um,
that's pretty cool.
yeah, I think it's cool as well. But you were on their show. You're connect. So
Mhm.
for the listeners, this is how Dave and I got kind of connected. He saw the interview, the podcast, reached out. So thank you for doing that. This is how it works. But yeah, jumping into it, how many fur kids do we have a part of the family today?
Three.
I was waiting how many hands were about to show up.
I, I do think three is probably the limit for now, at least until the skin kids get old enough to help take care of them.
I love skin kids versus two-legged. Okay.
Yeah.
So whatever order you want to go in, let's talk about those three. How did they become family? What are their names?
All right. So, in order from like oldest to youngest, we have Colt, Molly, and Dexter. So, Colt, he, he's probably about 9 years old now. I got him at the same time as Molly, and they were approximately 1 to 2 months apart. He was just a slight bit older. He is some sort of mutt. I'm thinking border collie something. He was advertised as a German Shepherd Dalmatian mix, but I don't know about that. I definitely see some border collie, maybe some golden. Who knows, man? And Molly, she's my little what we assume to be a rat terrier or some sort of terrier mixed with a black lab. She is a funny looking thing. She is an amazing personality. Then Dexter, he's actually, I didn't get him. My wife did, and when we got married, he became part of the family. She had him before we
Okay.
had met, so that's how that happened.
Now
And
let's
yeah,
go ahead. Keep going.
yeah, I was basically just like Dexter, or sorry, Colt and Molly. They were mine that I like went out myself and got. It was I met them through a coworker at like my first high school job or whatever, and then when I was becoming an adult, graduating high school and all that. Those were my first two, like my dogs, not like my parents' dogs that I grew up with, but mine.
Yeah.
And it's kind of sad because now they're getting old. I mean, they don't act old, thankfully, but and they're still really healthy. But it's kind of like, man, I feel old. My dogs are getting old, and I'm like, wow, high school
How,
was like forever ago now.
how,
And it's
so
just funny.
that's how now how when you say old, how old are they?
Around 9,
Okay.
and then Dexter would be around 8.
Okay.
So just at the
Now,
beginning of senior citizen.
yeah, but well, it sounds like there's still it's the beginning. So you got to get them the senior citizen discount cards, right?
Yeah, yeah. If only
I
I
love
could for their food.
I love the yeah, right. I love the names. Any rhyme or reason behind the names, or did they come with the names?
So Colt and Molly came with. their names, and I didn't want to change them.
Okay.
Um, and Dexter, my wife did name him on purpose. She thought if she gave him a smart sounding name, he would be smart. And I
And he's
think it
not.
backfired. And it's Dexter from Dexter's Lab, the cartoon, not from like Dexter, the serial killer dude.
That's well, I was gonna say I don't know either. So there go shows you my age. Dex
Yeah.
cartoon is like that one I don't know. So that's after me or dating myself. And then
Yeah, I think it was like what early 2000s, late
okay,
90s. I have no idea, honestly. I remember I used to watch it, but it was so long ago, man.
I
I
was
was like
thinking
young.
Poindexter, but that's still kind of in the smart area, right?
Yeah.
But so when you say it's backfired, like what does that mean? Is he just slow? Is he run into
And
things or
he makes it a point to give himself a daily concussion, not a
oh,
like twice a day. He's just a
okay,
goofball, man. He is. I mean, he is like smart. He's just oblivious and does not pay attention to anything.
okay.
And he's just wild.
That's
But he loves working. He knows commands and stuff, and he
oh,
he's never like done anything bad. He's just a goofball.
and all three of them get along. Well, I mean, obviously they will have to with what you do, which we'll get
Yeah.
into. But when all three of them, when you first got them, and they all became part of family. Any issues there, resource garden or anything like that?
Yeah, they definitely did, especially like so Colt and Molly came from the same home. So they were pretty much good to go like right when I got them. Molly was just a little bit timid with people actually. She's much different now. But it was like when Dexter was introduced that we got a little bit of some like pecking order stuff and never really anything bad. Honestly, it really could have gone a lot worse, and it just kind of naturally got really a lot better. And they were cool with each other. They eat next to each other every day. The kids actually feed them, and yeah, I mean, they play rough, but so long as it doesn't knock anything over, they're fine. I don't care if they do that.
Right, right. Like any like funny routines that not necessarily daily or maybe weekly that just kind of make you laugh or make you be like, wait a minute, why do they do that? How did that come to be?
Well, Colt, it feels like a weekly or twice a week routine with how the weather's been, but every time there's the slightest little bit of thunder, he is turning into the biggest baby. He like snakes his way onto the couch like a little, I guess, like a little snail, just trying to squeeze in the cushions and getting in my kids' laps, and they're like covering him with blankets, and he's like laying belly up like this, just soaking it all in and just milking every ounce of attention you could possibly get out of it.
Okay.
And so that's one of our little weekly routines. Molly, she really likes to. Uh, she is extremely high drive. So when we're throwing a tennis ball with her, she is going crazy for it. She is very very fast at getting to the ball and like kind of very playfully possessive, like the growling, like the play growling, where she doesn't ever actually bite her. It's not really scary, but she does. She just loves it so much. And if you're not playing with her, she just likes to curl up in a ball for the rest of the day. She's like this little just lump in her bed, just
Okay.
pretty much the whole day. And whenever someone new comes over or someone she hasn't seen in a while, she just licks their shins like crazy. She just cannot control herself.
Oh, that's funny.
But she's got a personality, man.
Okay. That
And then
well,
yeah, then for Dexter, you know, he's kind of been our best dog with the kids overall. He was always letting them like roughhouse with them, play with them, ride him. I don't think he's as big of a fan of that anymore because they're getting bigger.
mm,
But yeah, and all three of them, I mostly take Colt with me to work, but I will take Dexter and Molly depending on what we're working on the throughout the day. And yeah, all around they're just They're really well behaved dogs. I have like good demonstration worthy commands on Colt and somewhat on Dexter too, but they're all just really well behaved. They go outside off a leash, and we don't have a fence, and I can kind of watch them, and they're good, and they come when called perfectly, and I mean they're just good dogs.
So that's a good segue. So let's talk a little bit about, like you said, you've got these commands. So obviously you've
Mm-hmm.
got skills a lot of us don't have to kind of
Yeah.
navigate challenges, if that's even the right way to say. But start from the beginning. Let's go. So the name of the
Mm-hmm.
company is Canine Coaches, right?
Yep.
How did the idea come to be? What was the inspiration?
So, I mean, I've been training dogs pretty much ever since I graduated high school, about the same time I got Colt and Molly. So, just under 10 years now, or it's coming up on 10 years here in a couple months. Um, and I've done it out of my name and almost informally for a long time. Then I was actually in the military for a little bit in the reserves. And so I was kind of like I was, like part time military, then part time doing this. And and the schedule was very invasive, so it was hard to just focus on one thing and really formalize it. But now that I'm out, and we moved around a little bit, now we're back about where I grew up, or the general area where I grew up in Georgia. We decided to sit down and formalize it, make an LLC, apply some of the business skills I learned. I was actually in real estate development for a little bit, and kind of just applied it to luxury service and dog training. And yeah, that's pretty. I guess the name specifically is. I really wanted. I've helped with and ran board and trains before, and I've done private lesson formats before. But I really wanted to solely focus on the private lesson format for multiple reasons. One being that I think that it is genuinely better quality and more lasting impact, and it's more efficient. It's really expensive to take care of a lot of other people's dogs, and you have to pass that on to your clients. Whereas with a private lesson, like don't get me wrong, it's not cheap, and especially with gas and wear and tear on your car.
Right.
But for the most part, when I'm home, my work is done, uh, and on top of it, I get the opportunity to teach people how to train their own dogs. So I'm
Okay.
not necessarily like the name is supposed to vaguely imply that I'm coaching you how to train your dog. Like I'm your coach, not your dog trainer. Just about.
Okay. Love that. That makes sense. So I'm
Yep.
so okay. So then you're going directly to the homeowner's home, into that environment,
Yep.
and coaching, mentoring the person on how to effectively train their dog on the various, like, what are some of the common things that you typically see that you're training for? I mean, I would imagine leash pulling is probably one of the most common.
Yeah. For the most part, every dog has really very rarely do I see a dog that has like just good overall obedience. When I'm talking about obedience, I'm talking about like functional command work, reactivity work, behavior modification. I kind of have it as like this catch-all term, like pet dog training, because I know that people like split it into all these different subcategories that I just think that don't really make any sense to me. So usually, like, I get a dog that doesn't come when called, it's jumping, it's being really really rude at the door. Reactivity is very common, and really reactivity is a very general term, and it doesn't tell me a whole lot. You could be talking about a dog that's very fearful of people or other dogs, or reactivity could also mean they just want to play. Reactivity just means they react to something. It doesn't tell me
Right.
why. Um,
Right.
so I get a lot of reactivity, but until I see them and I really dig deeper, I'll see if it's an aggressive thing, if it's a play thing, if it's a fear thing, or combination sometimes. But
Okay.
yeah, that's pretty much what I work with. Just anything that would be considered functional obedience, commands, leash walking, heeling, coming when called, barking, reactivity, so on.
Okay. There's one thing you made, the one comment you made, or actually it made me smile or made me laugh. You said "rude at the door." What does that mean exactly?
So like barking, jumping,
Okay,
like being an obstacle,
when somebody's
like
trying to come. Okay, okay,
yeah, like just you're tripping over the dog, or your mother-in-law comes over and she's getting scratched up, that sort of deal.
gotcha. I know that. Yeah, sorry, that's what I thought. I'm just laughing. I know that too well. That book over there in the background
Mm-hmm.
was inspired by Marley, and
Oh yeah.
that's what she did. Every time you came home, she really greeted you, and you got a
Mm-hmm.
75-pound Doberman greeting you, and
Yeah.
you know it. So yeah, so I had to laugh because I'm like, okay, I know that too well.
Yeah.
And then like typically, how long do you advise with like the sessions in which you do? How how long?
My most like common workflow is I see people for about 10 weeks or 10
10 weeks?
sessions.
Okay.
It's not like the only thing that I offer, but that's just like what most people choose to do. Like a medium to long term type of deal, where we like go over everything, because that's also where, like, let's say I'm doing a 10 session plan, like everything after 5 is pretty much we're meeting out in public, in stores, in parks, etc. And a lot of people really like that stuff. And I do too, because I really like making sure that it's not just a living room dog, or it's not just
Right.
your dog is only stable in a couple rooms in your house. I want them to be good in your
Right.
house, in all the
Right.
rooms that you maybe rarely take your dog in. If you really sat down and thought about it, there's probably a couple areas in your own house that your dog probably has never been in before, just a time or two, and it may be novel to them to be in there. And then you got your front yard, your backyard, your side yards, and then stores, parks, and it's just really good for all around. Just making sure that the stuff you're working on in your house is actually translating and is
Okay.
actually usable
Gotcha.
when you want it to be.
Okay. And then so like I said, if it's 10 sessions, if somebody listening to this, signs up, get you 10 sessions, it might be once a week, maybe twice a week.
Yeah, my
Um,
most typical is once a week
once a
for
week.
people.
Okay.
I typically see people weekly. I give them very specific homework to do.
That was my next question is if there's like a
Yep.
workbook or something you leave with them.
Yeah, I have it's pretty nice. I wish they're in my car right now, but it's like a, sheet with lines on it, and it has like general information on it. And I write on it before I leave X amount of reps of Y, X minutes of this per day, per week, whatever.
Okay.
I like to be very specific, and I like to, and really, especially in the beginning, less is more, quality over quantity type of approach, because everyone has a job, or at least most people do. If they don't, they probably can't afford me, honestly. Um, and and this is America. Like, most people are working like 60 hours a week, so I find that like a good 5 to 15 minutes, at least most days in that week, in between seeing me, is more than enough if you're doing it correctly. Um, I don't think that you really need to work with them like an hour a day, uh, and like burn yourself out. And sometimes you do it, sometimes you don't, and really just kind of build up this backlog of training you need to do. I just think that quality over quantity approach, less is more, short and sweet, especially at the
Right.
beginning.
Right.
Over time, if you're trying to do more advanced stuff, you can build up their stamina a little bit, like their mental stamina, their attention span. Because I tell this to everybody, the brain burns calories too. That's supposedly, at the very least, why human beings take so long to grow, despite us not being like animals that are 2 tons
Right.
plus
Right.
in size.
Right.
Um, so like when you're mentally challenging them, they are going to gas out, especially in the beginning if you're doing it right. So you don't need to push them like crazy, especially in the
Right.
beginning.
Right. Okay, very cool. And then I would assume, like you said, that first session, there's probably, like you said, there's certain things you're doing, keeping it simple, coaching. You leave them with a workbook of things to do. So then the second
Yep.
session comes around. is it you kind of, all right, let's preview how things went in this past week and where we saw improvements or where we didn't, maybe we focus there kind of thing?
Yeah, so how I like to do it and what's really worked out for me is because one of the biggest um, problems like a dog trainer who goes and does private lessons will run into is people not doing their homework or people like not doing it enough. And one of my one of my answers to it is just make it shorter and actually doable, like focus, which we just talked about. The next thing I really like to do is I kind of alternate categories um, about every week, depending on the dog, whatever. Right. So like first week will be your basic functional commands, first step. Then second week will be like leash walking. So technically, even if you didn't do your homework as much as you should have, or as well as you should have, we're kind of working on a completely different category of things. So you have an extra week to work it. And one thing I've also learned is, and this kind of ties back to what I was talking about earlier, I'd almost rather someone like, let's say someone does their homework 2 to 3 times a week instead of 5 to 7. I would rather them work with their dog correctly a couple times than like try to do a bunch of stuff that I didn't show them how to do yet
Right,
and get bad training in. Because
right,
sometimes no training is better than bad training because that's another repetition that you kind of have to undo, and usually they're able to get to the next step.
right,
And also like for my first session is usually a planning session. So part of it is for like session commitments and stuff like that, but another part of it is for the actual training strategy itself. One, it's to make sure that their dog is like, you know, they have a chance to actually get to know me. Um, and then next, it's just to make sure we have like the basics squared away. Like we have a regular leash and collar. Like I don't like retractable leashes, or like if your dog's pulling, I don't really care for a harness for training. I like martingale collars or whatever. And the biggest thing, especially if we're talking about a regular obedience case, is I like to use treats at the beginning. I'm not like a treat only person, but it is the most effective way to teach the commands, not necessarily to enforce when they don't want to do it, but most dogs like they know sit, and then everything else is just a lack of understanding. And treats are by far the easiest way for those functional position based commands, like you're down, your place, coming when called, even. So I like to, in that planning session, make it very clear that don't feed your dog right before I come over. Like feed them after, or you even use their food as like for the session. I always tell them, if we can get them to work for minimum wage, then we can only go up from there. So that's another reason why it's very important. Like a lot of people like free feed their dogs, and I'm not gonna like I don't really care like on a spiritual level what you do, but we do need to make sure we're setting the stage, because a lot of it is just planning correctly. Things can go
right.
so smooth if you just plan accordingly and make some small changes before
Yeah,
we actually
yeah,
really get to work.
yeah. Love that. That makes sense. Definitely aligned. And then I'm curious in the beginning stages with like, Colt, Molly or Dexter, um, did any one of them kind of get some of this training from you, or did one of them in particular, like Dexter, he needed it because he was the slowest? I don't know. Or as you perfected some of the training, was it with the help of the fur kids?
Yeah, so definitely. And um like Colt comes with me to work almost every single day.
Oh
He's
wow,
like
okay.
he's like a like he's like he is used for work basically as a distraction dog. He's pretty relatively calm, so he's with me every day. And I try to squeeze in training when I'm using him as a distraction dog, usually like off leash healing or recalls or stuff like that, or just enforcing his stays. Like I don't need a leash for that dog. He's really really well behaved. But yeah, when I got into dog training, it was basically all about bite work to me. I loved watching police canines. That's really what got me into it. I don't care. I still enjoy it, but I don't really like. I'm not as gung ho about it as I was when I was a teenager or in my early 20s. But like, I really wanted Colt to do bite work, and I actually did get him to for a while. But you need employees for that. You need people who know what they're doing, and he's getting old, and I really think he's happier, and I think he's more it's more utilitarian for me to just focus on his obedience and just
Right.
bring him to work with me, keep him calm. Um, just give him some attention.
Yeah.
Do some functional commands with him. I've done some like demos with him, where I'm doing
Okay.
tactical heels. I'm doing off leash heels. I'm doing like 200-yard recalls with him, stuff like that. He's a very well behaved dog,
Very cool.
and I've done a lot of work with him.
Now, the term you use, I got to go back and ask you that because I'm not sure. But would you say by what was the term you used with the canine
Oh,
dogs?
bite work. We're
Oh,
teaching them to bite
bite
people.
work.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
gotcha.
So you're getting the dog to bite people. Yep.
So you're training the dog to bite people.
Yep. Like with a bite
Well,
suit, the sleeves,
yep,
and stuff
yep,
like
yep.
that.
Okay.
Yep. So
Well,
I actually used to do that with Colt, but I haven't done it with him in years. I'm just letting him settle down. And
okay,
he's you if you met him, you couldn't tell that he's ever done that type of stuff. He's never bitten
gotcha.
anyone for real. He's only ever done it on like a suit or a sleeve. But yeah, that's what got me into it. Is I just wanted to train every dog to bite for protection purposes. But now I still enjoy bite work, and I would like to get back into it one day. But I mostly just want dogs to chill out a little bit.
Hence the like you said the police the canine reference like you said. So that is that kind of the bite work. Is that a main thing that they're working on? I mean, I know there's probably other things, but
Yeah, you usually for police canines, you're usually looking at bite work and scent work, and everything is like kind of a subspecies of that. Bite work or apprehension is the technical term for it. Is when they send a dog to go bite somebody and hold them down so that they can
right,
arrest them non-lethally.
right,
Whereas scent work that includes your drugs, your bombs, as well as your people. Um, they also have stuff for like firearms and whatever. But I most of my experiences with drugs and bombs and people trailing, as they call it. So they'll have dogs that are single purpose, meaning that they only do one, or multi purpose, where they do two, like some people consider it three jobs all at once. And then attached to that, you are always going to have, or at least you should have, a high level obedience with all of them. But that's how I really got into this. I actually went to a school where I was basically working with a bunch of working dogs, and as well as just high level obedience with regular pet dogs that didn't have like a job, so to say.
right.
But yeah, that's how I got into this. Is I was in a bite suit just about every day for a while, and
Okay.
got really sweaty and got a lot of bruises from it. It was really nice.
And remind me, I think you had mentioned it, but so you've grown up with dogs pretty much throughout your whole life, is that right?
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
My parents always had a dog. We had a Chesapeake Bay Retriever when I was real young. Then we had a American Bulldog, German Shepherd, and a Cane Corso, and an Australian Shepherd. Not all at the same time, but um, over my childhood, we had those dogs. And as soon as I became 18, graduated high school, I already had my own dog, two of them. And
Right.
now we have Dexter too.
And then you
And
really
yeah,
okay. The driving forces and factors behind what you're doing, the inspiration.
yes, yeah,
That's okay, very phenomenal. I know we're getting close to time here, so that's really cool. So how can people find you? What's and we'll definitely make sure we
mhm.
get the links added in the description of this and the article, but yeah, shout out how people can find you.
Yeah. So website is canineed.org, like canineeducation.org, whatever. You can find me Canine Coaches LLC on Facebook very easily. It's the like logo with a lab wearing a hat. Um, you can find me on Yelp, Google pretty easily, and I think we have a TikTok too. Basically, the only social media we don't have is a Twitter because I don't know how that works. And we have Nextdoor, but
Okay.
yeah, you can pretty much just find us on any social media except for Twitter for now, and just kind of Canine Coaches LLC. One easy way to tell if it's us is if you're seeing a bunch of owners training their dogs. Usually, most of my videos I'm holding like a little camera or whatever,
Very cool.
my phone, and like it's pretty much owner led training. I just guide them along the way, and um, Yeah, and where I'm probably one of the most like active in showing what training looks like.
Right,
A
right.
lot of other dog trainers, whether because I am not saying like it's for any particular reason, but we show like everything,
Yeah, and
everything.
I've seen some of those posts and some of those videos, so that's phenomenal. And then I guess do you have I'm assuming you have a limited training radius. Is there anything virtual?
Yes, I do have Zoom classes.
Oh, nice.
Yes, I
Okay.
have Zoom classes, and I do. We're working on some educational content this year. Hopefully,
Okay.
we have it done by this year. It's just luckily we've been so busy that I haven't really had time to do stuff like that. But yeah, we have Zoom classes. As far as radius, I'll drive pretty far so long as I don't have too many at once. Like I don't mind driving an hour plus, um,
Okay.
depending on the traffic and stuff like that. And I'll usually like make it more efficient to where like I'm seeing like this person, this person, this person, this person, or if I'm
Right,
doing a far
right.
drive, I'll see like like at least two of them in that same sort of period, and then come back home. But yeah, I don't mind driving far, so long as it fits the schedule.
Cool. Okay. So yeah, again, we'll make sure for the listeners of this that we get that information listed in the description of the podcast, the
Yeah.
article, links to find you. As we close out this show, I always love ending like with an inspirational note or something. I feel like there's one here. Gosh, with your working with dogs and families, what is it? What's the inspiration you get from your fur kids? Just or just dogs in general.
Man, I don't know. It's so weird because like it's like asking a fish what water feels like. You know what I mean? Because like when your life is literally dogs, it's just like so normal to you. It's like, you know, oh man. The
Assumption of
inspiration, you know what? No, I have a good one. I guess when it comes to that, they inspire me to have, okay, when I was a kid and, you'd have like the family dogs and,
Mhm.
let's get a little sad here. When you
Do
have to,
it.
like, you're a kid or whatever, especially when you get to like that middle school teenager age and, your dog starts getting old. And then before you know it, you have to put them down or they just, nature takes its course, and then you're like, man, when he was a puppy or when he was younger, I was all over him, and then as he got older and life got busier, you're just, you didn't spend as much time with him and give him as much attention as you wanted to. So that's one thing that does really inspire me, and
No, that's great. Yeah.
um, kind of it does make me really grateful, is because when you're working, you're spending time with your dog
Right.
in a productive way. So
Yeah.
it's really cool for me that I get to kind of, do my duty as an adult and provide for my family and pay my bills while also not forgetting about, our dogs. You know, so
I yeah, I love it.
that's something
I
that does inspire me. And I remember, having like these dreams of, like, before, my first dogs, before y'all get old and die on me, I want you to have a nice big yard to play in. I want to work with you on all these things because I think you'll have so much fun doing it. Play with the kids. You kind of have all these dreams that line up with yours that include your dogs. The property you want to own, like other
yeah.
animals for them to be around, and kind of like a lifestyle. And yeah, I get to kind of work on all of it at once.
No, I love that. And I think that's great. That's a great answer too, because yeah, it's a beautiful life in a very short time frame because they're not with us here long enough, which sucks.
Yeah.
But your having a huge impact on that and making the most out of it. So I think that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Um, Gosh, Dave, as we close today, just thank you for being on the show. Enjoyed hearing your story, meeting you. We'll definitely keep in touch, and we'll definitely get all of your information out there for the listeners. Don't go anywhere just yet, but yeah, thank you for being on the show today.
Yeah. Thank you.